Hey, what's up, everybody? It has been a few days. The past couple of weeks have been pretty interesting for me. When we last spoke, I was working on my Hierophant. He was originally a Blazing Salvo Hierophant, and then I converted him over to Stormburst Totems. You know, the Blazing Salvo version was around 10 million DPS. The Stormburst Totems was around like 50 plus million DPS. The purpose of making those builds was to keep the budget as low as possible and just see what we could get away with. The Blazing Salvo build was great up until the Ubers. It did take down Uber, Cortex, Maven, and Shaper, you know, arguably the three easiest ones, but it really ran into issues with the harder ones, you know, specifically Exarch, Eater of Worlds, and then, you know, Big Boy Cirrus. So we switched over to the Stormburst Totems, which was a Mind Over Matter build, which was honestly tanky enough for everything in the game, Wave 30 Simulacrum, everything except for those specific Uber fights. And after that, like, I felt really weird after fighting the Uber bosses with 50 million DPS. And I did take down the Ubers, but it just, I don't know, like, if you have 50 million DPS, it should be easy, right? Like, they should just die. And that should be a threshold that is way above, at least to me, anything that is reasonable for trivializing the game, right? Like, that's the dream of the power fantasy. And I felt real weird, like I said, just like uncomfortable with knowing that the game is in this state where there is content. I know it's aspirational content. I have a whole rant in the back of my head about how Uber shouldn't drop any, you know, functional loot in the game. Yeah, I was just like really just disappointed with the way that the Ubers work in the game and what they mean for the future of the game design. But I wanted to have a build that I could present and be proud of, that could do the content that I wanted it to do. The build just didn't cut it. And then one night, I was talking with my friends on Discord, and they found this one guy, the Nicolo here, this Giga Chad, who was playing Crest of Desire Armageddon brand Juggernaut with Wrathpith Globe and the Zizaran gloves. Basic idea is he is insanely tanky. You know, when I built it, I had over 9,000 life, 130,000 armor, up to 90 all max res, etc., regenning like 5,000 life per second. So I built that character, and it was funny. You know, he basically could not die outside of the Ubers, like nearly immortal. But due to the soft enraged mechanics in the Ubers, and considering how low that damage was, I did take down the easier Ubers with him, but he absolutely struggled with the soft enrages, you know, particularly with Searing Exarch. He could stand still and be AFK during the ball phase in Searing Exarch, even with like 2 or 3 of the Minotaurs hitting him. You know, as soon as it got to like 4 or 5 Minotaurs with the Searing Exarch moves, it was just too much, and it even killed that character. After that, I was like really in the doldrums. I was really discouraged. I ended up respecting that character into Shield Crush. I didn't really like what Shield Crush felt like. Sorry, Shield Crush fanatics. Clearly a very strong skill, but the skill itself just felt a little too clunky for me. As you guys know, I'm a big like full screen explodey enjoyer. And then I had to do a little soul searching. I actually ended up just playing Minecraft on stream one day. Come here. Oh, hold on. All right. Oh my, Path from Exile. No longer exiled. Let's go. This is the path to enlightenment in the future. All right. And that was actually a very nice relief, honestly, from butting my heads against these Uber fights. You know, fun fact, we are actually doing a community RP Minecraft server with a bunch of mods. I've never played Minecraft before, so this is a full blind experience, but community is welcome to join. So definitely pop in the Discord and join if you want to do that. Yeah, I sat here for a few days, like this past weekend, basically doing some soul searching and thinking about what I was doing with putting builds together, you know, keeping budgets at a certain level, trying to understand why I play this game, you know, to get to, long story long, to get to the meat of the matter here. You know, I think there is a lot of value for me to put a lot of restrictions on what I'm using to put a build together. I think it allows a lot of creativity and expression, and it forces you to do some interesting problem solving. But also with the state of the game right now, particularly with the Ubers, and if you are including Ubers as part of the goal of the build, I found it really discouraging and very limiting in terms of having to very specifically make a build in a very specific way. And 2 days ago, I just kind of said, screw it. I am going to just do something that I have fun doing. So we were on stream, just going through PoE Ninja, talking about our old builds, looking for inspiration. And someone brought up my old cast on crit arc Raider that I did with Cyclone a few leagues ago. And then I thought of like Mathil doing it on an Inquisitor this league, Lightning Conduit. And why not I just try to combine those ideas and do a cast on crit, Arc, Lightning Conduit, Raider, and kind of just play the game for myself. I even am leaning into doing multiple Heralds, which has like very low value for the build. It is just for aesthetics, although it does help the clear a little bit. I'm feeling so refreshed and energized. You have this in everything in life. I'll give you guys a little anecdote. This is something I would normally do on stream. I was talking with someone last night about getting a job again, if or when that would happen. And my history is as a programmer. In programming, they kind of band together. And when people talk about, oh, going into management or going into product or going into, anything else that is not just programming and just going down that path, it's kind of spoken about as like a really negative thing. People sit there and they say stuff like, oh, I just hate being in meetings. I just want to sit in front of my computer and be grumpy, worrying about the numbers or anything like that. I just want to like solve the problem and program. While that was like maybe 10% true for me, I got sucked into like the culture of kind of parodying and repeating those things to the point where like I basically had lied to myself, and I believe that as well. Reflecting on that trajectory of like what I did in my career as a programmer, I had bosses of mine asking me if I wanted like career changes into like more product focused or management focused roles. And my knee-jerk reaction was just to say, oh no, I'm not interested in that. No, I just want to be a programmer. I definitely turned down things that I think would have made me happier and progressed my career because the social pressure of just like, oh, this is the way that we feel about things. I'm thinking of like Matt Damon, in Good Will Hunting, where, he just wants to hang out with Ben Affleck and go be a construction worker. And like what he's actually meant to do, what he enjoys doing, what is best for him is different than the culture that he grew up in. Feeling that sense of loss, losing the respect of your peers, your current peers, because you're doing something else. To bring that all around, having made builds and making content for you guys for the past year and a half, I've definitely felt a lot of that pressure. There's a lot of value, as I said earlier, to me restricting myself if I'm going to make a build for you guys, be honest about the value of things, the price of things, what it's going to feel like, show alternatives. But I've definitely like held myself back of playing things that just appeal to me and are just like pure fun. I think there's probably a lot of fun builds that may be a little bit higher investment that I could have worked on and could have shared with you guys to at least like inspire you and show you what can be done in the game with some more currency. The main thing that I've been trying to avoid is complaining about the Ubers. That's like the main thing that I've just been kind of feeling the past week. And I didn't want to make something that was like purely complaining. I wanted to have something that was a little bit more like this. And hopefully this just gave you some food for thought, maybe reflect a little bit on how you interact with your peers and, maybe some ingrained things that you've kind of said to yourself that might not be true, maybe a little bit of soul searching there. The more that I thought about this, the more that I wish I thought about it a little bit earlier. It was a good learning experience. I learned a lot in the past 2 weeks, especially playing Totem and Juggernaut builds, something a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I just had to go to something that I knew would be fun. I knew that I would love. Zooming around as a raider, 4,000 life, screw it. I don't care about Ubers. I'm just going to have an absolute blast blasting through the maps. You don't always have to be pushing yourself. Don't always have to be like learning and struggling. If something is fun, there's nothing wrong with doing that. So anyway, just something a little bit different for you guys today. Subscribe if you like it and you want more stuff a little different like this. As always, huge thank you to all my patrons, and I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow. All right, goodbye. Let's go. Oh, I like it. Yeah, I want to wake up everything out. We wake up in the morning, we got a cup of caffeinated blood, a little bit warmer than body temperature. We're talking like 110 degrees or so Fahrenheit. Yeah, wake up in the evening and soak up the moonlight out of my cherry estate overlooking the ocean with my cup of raw beef, caffeinated blood. Ooh.